It seems to me that neither of you are singing on the same hymn sheet. Every time you come up with a policy, the Lib Dems want to water it down. Every time the Lib Dems come up with a policy, you want to water it down. So how are you actually going to work together to solve this crisis?
Well, what I would say, thank you, sir. Look, obviously, we're different parties, Conservative Party, Liberal Democrat Party. We don't always agree. But I would argue, actually, in the last 2 years, the government has actually done a lot of things that needed to be done. We've cut the deficit. We made difficult decisions about cutting some areas of public spending, about having to increase some taxes, because we inherited a situation where our budget deficit was bigger than that in Greece. So although we might have had different views, we put those aside, we cut the deficit for the good of the economy. We both also took some very difficult decisions on welfare. For the first time ever in our country, we put a cap on welfare and said that no family out of work should be able to get more in welfare than the average family gets in work. Again, a difficult decision, one that's never been taken before, but we worked together to do that. And whatever the area, I would say, whether it is getting immigration under control, where we put in place some tough limits, whether it's reforming our education system, where we put in place much tougher standards in terms of discipline and teaching proper subjects like maths and English. We're not always going to agree, but in the end, we've produced some pretty chunky, clear policies of things that needed to be done. Now, of course, I would like to be running a Conservative-only government. Nick would like to run a Liberal Democrat-only government. You, the voters, though, decided that no one won the last election, and effectively you were asking us to work together. Now, I would argue, in spite of the differences we sometimes have, in spite of the arguments we sometimes have, we have put those differences aside and taken pretty tough action on the deficit, on welfare, on education, and I think this coalition government is delivering. But I accept it's a tough time in our country, it's a difficult time in our country, and we've got more work to do.
All I would add to that is judge us by our actions, not by our words. And with the greatest respect to the members of the press around, judge us by what we do rather than what people say we are doing or not doing. Because I think if you look, as David said, at what we've managed to do over the last 2 years, it's a pretty remarkable... in fact, we were accused for a lot of that period of time that we were doing too much. We were rushing to trying to do too many things at once. Reforming welfare, reforming education, changing the tax system, fixing the broken banking system, fixing the black hole in our public finances. We were involved in military action in Libya all at the same time. That's quite a lot to be getting on with in a fairly compressed period of time for any government, single party or coalition party. And if I think about the things that I care about passionately, I'm hugely proud. The things that I fought for all my political life. More money for kids from disadvantaged backgrounds in school through something called the pupil premium, more apprenticeships than have been delivered by any government since the Second World War, raising the allowance, the point at which you start paying income tax, by the highest amount ever. These are things we're delivering through coalition in the same way that David's delivering for his party things that his party believes in, but we're doing it in a coalition government. I think on the, you always get ups and downs in politics, but I think the idea of politicians from different parties setting aside their differences and working in the national interest at the end of the day is something that I hope most people think is a good thing to do.